Drug prevention in Bolivia.
Okay. Hi, I am Martha. I am from Bolivia. My parents are also from Bolivia. I speak two languages, being English and Spanish. In my free times, I like to play soccer. I also like playing volleyball. I do enjoy playing basketball, but I'm not good at it.
I'm Julia. I'm also a native Bolivian, and my parents are also from Bolivia, and I've lived here in Bolivia my whole life. And it's a very beautiful country to live in, and it being a third world country opens our eyes to all the need that there's around us and makes us very compassionate people. This is a picture of me and Martha and I, and our friend Irene. She's also part of our group, but she was not able to make it to the Gen Peru conference because and so we just wanted to introduce you to her because she was a very important part of our project and she helped us a lot during the presentations in the public schools in Bolivia.
So where are we from in our school? Our school is called Santa Cruz Cooperative School. It is an English-speaking school, and also they support groups like helping organizations, helping the community, like also feminism, many things, which is great about our school because there are 1,000 different groups that you can join in, and one of them was gym, and that's why we're here.
This is a video about Bolivia that exposes its beauty because generally people associate Bolivia with an ugly country, but it's actually very beautiful and we're very proud of it.
Yeah, and we wanted to show you how Bolivia was so that you know where we come from, and many people don't know anything about Bolivia and they think that we don't have dogs and Wi-Fi, which is actually something they ask.
70 miles into the middle of the salt flats to this island. Once we got like 50 kilometers out, you could start to see it, and it felt like we were going to be there any minute the entire time. The depth perception here, because it's so flat, is so messed up. Also, we learned that we're super lucky with the rain situation going on, because if it rains too much, it's flooded and you can't make it to the island. But if it doesn't rain, then you don't get this beautiful mirror effect. All in all, we're crazy lucky and feel super grateful to be in such an amazingly beautiful place. And now we're setting up for lunch.
Time for a picnic!
I don't think this picnic spot could be beat anywhere else in the entire world.
Okay, so these are some facts people don't know about Bolivia, which are really interesting. The first is that we have a place that's called El Alto, which is a city that has a population of 1,184,842 people, making it the highest large city in the world. Large means that it has a population greater than 100,000 people. And these people live in the highest large city in the world. And there's also a place called El Camino de las Yungas, which is a road that runs 35 miles northeast of La Paz. La Paz is the capital. And it is known as the most dangerous road in the world, having about 300 casualties each year. But it is a place of adventure where many tourists go and ride bikes through that road. And Bolivia is also home to the Salar de Uyuni. Salar de Uyuni is a gorgeous salt lake, which is considered the largest mirror on Earth. And it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It is a salt flat that is in a very high altitude. And a fun fact is that a scene from Star Wars was filmed here in Salar de Uyuni.
Okay, and Lake Titicaca is a lake that is one of the highest lakes in the world, which shares a border between Bolivia and Peru here. And it is 3,812 meters, and it is known for its huge volume. Bolivia has many different languages, 37 actually. We speak only Spanish and English, and she also speaks Italian. Yeah. One of them being Quechua, Aymara, Guarani, and 33 other recognized languages. And where we're from, Santa Cruz is one of the fastest growing cities in Bolivia.
Yeah, and actually we know some Guarani because in school they required us to learn it for a year. We don't remember much now though.
Yeah.
The situation. 7 out of 10 Bolivians consume alcohol on a regular basis. Alcohol consumption is the #1 problem drug in Latin America. 69 out of 100 people in Bolivia have consumed alcohol.
208 million are the amount of people that consume drugs worldwide. This is a graph showing the ages about the people that consume drugs. Obviously, the highest one is the years 19 to 35, which is extremely young, even though the youngest one is the blue one, which is 12 to 18 years of age, and the green one being 26 to 34 age.
Mission. Our mission here is that we want to share our knowledge about drugs to kids in need in these public schools. Students are the most vulnerable part of our society because we're immature and curious to what's around us. And this is normal for our age, but we need to be aware of the consequences that there is to our actions so we don't fall into temptation. We want to do what we can do so this topic is not something that is bad to talk about. We want it to be normal to talk about the consequences of drugs for these kids so they are aware of what is happening to them.
So how we did it, how were we able to give out this message to Bolivian kids and spread the word? We did a presentation, and the presentation involved statistics, which we talked about earlier, the types of drugs, and how to prevent it, how to look for help. Obviously, we're not professionals, but we answered some questions about how and where they could get help. And we also did a survey, which were 3 questions, simple questions that the children had to answer. So the types of drugs, the first one is the medical drug. The medical drug is the drug that is legal, not illegal, but obviously it does affect the brain in some sort of way. And because it is used to cure a health problem. But if you abuse this, you can obviously get influenced by it and damaged and addicted, most important, and addiction, and it can cause death.
So another category that drugs are put into are depressants. We try to show these categories to kids in the simplest way possible so this would stick to them and they would understand. Depressants decrease activity of the central nervous system, affecting the brain directly and slowing its function. It can be used medically, but as we said, only under the supervision of a specialist. And we stress this a lot across our presentations because these kids tend to be alone a lot of the time because their parents need to work. So they basically can't choose if they take this medication or not. And we tell them they need to check their moms first, although they're alone. And some common depressants include alcohol, which is consumed and we can see a lot. And although it may seem normal, it is not good for you.
Stimulants. It activates the areas of the nervous system because, as you know, the drugs affect different parts of your brain, and this one being the central nervous system. It elevates the dopamine levels in some parts of your brain. It is a neurotransmitter that can cause pleasure. This is what some of these drugs, like cocaine, crack, ecstasy, cause. And
the third category of drugs is hallucinogens. These drugs make you distort your reality. The perspective is completely distorted and you don't see what's actually true. It disrupts the function of the central nervous system, and people who consume listen and see things that are not actually true. And these things that they imagine depend on your mood, be it sad or happy. And they use it to escape their reality, but when they come back, their reality is much worse because on top of their problems, they have an addiction to a drug.
prevention. This is what we talked about. Prevention. So why would they do it? First of all, because they're curious. They want to find out what does it do to me, because human beings are naturally curious. And then maybe to fit in, because your friends are doing it, you're gonna do it too. You want to be like them, you want to have fun with them, even though it doesn't mean that it's right, obviously. Also to gain confidence, because maybe when you drink alcohol, you feel that you can talk to a social group easier, you can have fun and have a better time. Also to escape the world, escape responsibilities, things like work, something you have to do, something important, and maybe just to reduce boredom because you're bored, you're just stressed, and you just feel that that's the way you can escape everything.
Consequences. There are short-term and long-term consequences to the use of drugs. The short-term include problems like talking and walking and like keeping balance and things like that. So these are short-term consequences that happen after you consume this drug. There's also memory loss, which usually happens like the day after. Vomiting, diarrhea, stomachache, and all these things that usually happen after they take drugs like alcohol, which we can see. The long-term consequences are way harsher. These include sexual problems, like people who take drugs regularly will probably have problems in childbirth, or they won't be able to get problems in their pregnancy. Either they won't be able to get pregnant, or their child might be born with a type of mental illness. There is a possibility of this. Unintentional injuries can happen, such as car accidents and falls or burns and all of this stuff. Since you're not in your good state of mind, you go and do things that you usually wouldn't do. And that takes us to intentional injuries. Sometimes, I don't know, you might hate this person, but you know you wouldn't ever damage them physically, you just hate them. But maybe when you're under the influence of drugs, since your feelings are heightened, you might actually hurt this person, even though in your good state of mind you would never do that. And other intentional injuries can be done to you, such as rape. There's bad people in the world and they can give you drinks that have stuff in it, and they can do bad stuff to you later. There's also domestic violence, which happens a lot in Bolivia. The loss of productivity, and there's interpersonal and intrapersonal problems. Interpersonal is problems that you have with yourself. Internally, you have problems you need to solve. Intrapersonal is problems you have with people around you, which are caused by these drugs. And other effects are high blood pressure, heart disease, liver disease, and nerve damage. And we can obviously see that the cons completely outweigh the pros in drug use.
Okay, so the 3 simple basic steps, obviously there could be more. But first of all, you have to realize that you have a problem, because when you realize you have a problem, that's when you can seek for help. Being someone that you can trust, because if you trust them, they will help you, and maybe someone like a psychologist or someone professional that can help you. And then you can find an occupation, being like any type of sport that can distract you, keep your mind out of things. Or you can read a book, join a club, or anything that, as I mentioned, will distract you. So we did, this is the 3 questions that we mentioned. This is us giving out the surveys, which has the 3 questions to the kids.
These are the questions that we ask the kids. First of all is, have you ever been in the presence of a drug? And 30% of these kids said yes, they have been in the presence of the drug. And the no's might be greater, but still 30% is a big number. And we have to realize that we're talking to 5th and 6th graders. And a 6th grader being exposed to drugs is not good. They're very young, and this shows how we must teach them about this, because they're actually being exposed to it. Another question was, before this presentation, did you know what effects drugs have in your body? 40% said yes, 60% said no. So you can see that more than half did not know about drugs, and they still were being exposed to them. So we're trying to change these numbers.
And the last question being, have you ever had a presentation on this topic before? 79.45% said they have never had this presentation, which is very wow, because they don't have the chance to know about this, not because they don't want to, but because they can't have the opportunity. And then 20.55% said yes, they had, which is still a very small number. This is just a graph. No, the biggest part of it is that says no, that no, they hadn't had a presentation, they don't know anything, which is very important to see it physically. So, to who we did it?
Okay, so we presented this to 2 different schools, but we did it to different grades in each of these schools. The first school was Colegio Juárez, and in this school we presented to 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And in Colegio Colpa Bélica, we presented to all of these 7th graders.
Together.
These are some pictures from the Colegio Colpa Bélica. And here we have a selfie with the students, which were really nice to us and paid attention during the whole presentation.
This is us afterwards the presentation. And we gave out some treats for the students to enjoy, because we wanted them to pay attention, and obviously if you show them treats, they're going to be excited and will participate and interact.
So, yeah, we encouraged the kids with the treats so they would be excited. And
So, personal stories. We have a video about some of the comments that the children did, and then we're going to go more in depth about their stories.
and that let us see how these kids actually suffer and how much help they need, and how we're oblivious to all of this because we live in our own world, and we're fortunate enough to go to a school and have parents that give us enough attention that we don't go through these problems. But these kids, they are left alone every day for hours. They take the bus to school, which is not safe at all here in Bolivia. And they take these buses to school, and sometimes these buses take hours to get to their school. And they go back alone, and they're exposed to all of these dangers. And some of these kids didn't even tell their parents about them because they don't want them to worry, because their workload is already enough. And they constantly work for a living, and to be able to give them some education. And some of them even can't give them an education at all. We're putting a different story for each grade so you can get a glimpse of what we got to live.
Yeah, and thankfully some students were able to open up to us, which is very important for us because we realize how terrible the situations in Bolivia are.
And we realized that us being students and presenting to other students made them open up to us because they felt identified to us as youngsters. Because sometimes when adults present, we don't want to tell them because we think that they don't understand us anymore because they are from other times. We say that they don't understand what is happening in the world right now, although sometimes they understand more than we do.
Yeah.
So the first girl we want to talk about is called Teresa. She's this beautiful girl that talked to my mom about her problem. She decided to go and open up to my mom, which accompanied us to some of her presentations to help us with the snacks and everything. So Teresa's parents, or actually her dad, is an alcoholic. And she told my mom that every night he went home drunk, and he sometimes he took the money. He doesn't work because he is addicted to alcohol, and her mom is the one that works constantly as a maid in a hotel. So all the money she gets, she tries to keep it, but her husband goes home drunk and forces her to give him that money to buy more alcohol. And this poor girl, which is just a fourth grader, realizes what is happening and is exposed to this traumatizing experience. And she has no help. And she told us it's the first time she tells anyone about this. So my mom helped her and tried to give her advice and left her the phone of the church we go to so she could go and we can help her more. Because it's really sad to see how such a small child is exposed to these traumatizing experiences.
So this girl was one of the most amazing girls that I met. She was the most outgoing, and she was not afraid to speak out. She was so funny. She was the one that actually told their classmates, hey, listen to the girls. She was very respectful. And what she said is that, like Julia mentioned, they don't have their parents that take them to school in a nice car. They have to go in the buses, and buses in Bolivia are not as clean. They're just not as safe, first of all. And walking in the streets in Bolivia is extremely dangerous. So what she told us is that she was walking in the street, and this young boy, her age, wanted to offer her water, but she said she didn't want to take it because the water, she thought that the water had something. Not only do you can get drugged, having the drug, but sometimes they may put it in your water, which is something you have to keep in mind, which goes back to the rule that don't accept things that come from strangers. And that's what she told us, that it was dangerous, and sadly we can't do anything about this because we don't know her parents, and we would like to talk to them and be able to communicate this to her, because their parents have to work to have the money to eat food, which is extremely sad.
I became very close to her because she was very nice and she was very kind to tell her classmates to please listen to us like the other girl that Martha met. Her story is very sad because the person that constantly offers her drugs and is trying to take her to that bad path is her sister. And her sister is actually 13 years old and is currently dating a guy that's 19 years old. And she told us how her sister uses drugs constantly and tries to force her to take these drugs. And sometimes she doesn't even come home and she tries to escape with her boyfriend. And it's very sad because she tells us how her mom cries every night because her sister won't listen and she goes with her boyfriend and she's trying to force this little girl to go into drugs. What kind of sister forces you to do something that she knows is not right? So we talked to her and we told her how she needs to be the good example in her family and help her mom and don't let her sister make her go into those paths so she can lift her family up because her mother is a single mom, so there's no one taking care of them during the day and she needs to look out for herself better than her sister did.
And finally, the other one is this boy. Unlike the other girls, he was a boy that was extremely quiet. But in the middle of the class came this woman that said all the athletics of the team needs to get their uniforms. So all the athletics in their classroom left, and he was left in the classroom. And that's when he came to us and said, he told us that he doesn't play soccer because we actually asked him, don't you like soccer? What do you do? And he said no. And then we asked him why. And then he said that his friends bully him, and they bully him because he doesn't fit in because he doesn't want to try the other things that the kids like, which I think is the most amazing thing about him is that he's unique. He always had that smile on him, and it's very sad to see that just because the other people are different, he can't be able to join a soccer team that identifies him and that makes him stand out there. So what did they gain? So what they gained was support because we were able to be there and explain things. Also information, as we mentioned the types of drugs so that they know how they affect you, their brain. We also showed them pictures of people that consume the drugs. And the funny thing was that when they saw the picture, it was like, oh, I don't want to be like that. And it was good to see that reaction, which is just what we wanted. And love, because they were all so nice and we were nice to them. We were extremely patient also because they were kids and we had to calm them down. We had to look for the right words to give out the message to them, which was important for them to understand and take their presentation in their lives.
Here is Teresa, and these three girls actually came up to me and asked me what church I went to and if they could get help. And I wrote down the church I go to, and they're the same religion that I am, which is Christian. And I wrote down the name of the church, the number, and the address, so they can go and ask for help anytime. And after Teresa told me her story, at the beginning of the class, she was really quiet, and then she became really happy, as you can see in the picture, and she introduced her friends to us, and they were really nice to us.
Yeah, as you can see, the class is empty because that's when the kids that were on a sport left to pick up their uniform because they're gonna participate in the Olympics in Bolivia.
Okay, so not only did the kids gain stuff from this experience, we gained stuff. And personally, I think we gained a lot. We gained humility, thankfulness, and love. We gained humility because we were exposed to what the kids live by day to day and things we take for granted. And leads to thankfulness. Now we're thankful about what we take for granted, like our moms taking us to school every morning when these kids have to walk or go on a bus for a long time. Also, we take for granted all of these people that come and give conferences about, I don't know, sex education, drugs, all of these things. They give conferences to us, and sometimes we take it so for granted that we don't even want to be part of them. So we just like skip class, or I don't know. We don't realize that we're lucky to have all of these presentations that help build our future. And we also learn that love. This means that we learn to have love for our people in our country, and we realize that the kids have so much love to give, and when they're growing up, this love becomes corrupt because they're exposed to all of these bad things, and we need to try to be as nice as we can so this love keeps on going and they don't lose it when they're older.
So the legacy. The legacy is what we're gonna give and what we're gonna let stay.
So we need to look for a person. Next year we're graduating, so we need to look for a person that takes over this beautiful project. And we made a list of characteristics we want to find in this person. And these characteristics include leadership. This person needs to be a leader so they can, since our group is only 2 people, we want to expand this group, and the person we want to leave our legacy to needs to lead this new group. So they need to be a leader. They need to be familiar with the topic, which we will make sure they are. They need to have a good moral compass, meaning that they have to be able to connect with the kids and realize when something is good and when something is not, because sometimes these kids, you can say something wrong and they close up really quick. They also need to be dedicated, because this is not easy. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. They have to be willing to give 101%, because creating a presentation for the kids in the school and then creating a presentation for Jen and then creating a video is a big workload, and they need to be dedicated to this. And we want them to have ideas with unique and motivating things for our future project, which we love very, very, very much.
And obviously, to find who we're gonna leave it to, we need a future project that we can offer the people who are interested. So the first one being a calendar. Some people are organized, want to have everything set. So what we're gonna do is plan everything ahead. Well, our plan is to have at least 1 presentation a month and 2 group meetings where we can discuss. We don't want to overload people with meetings, because then they're like, I don't have enough time. We want the people interested to have enough time to be able to join our group. As Julia mentioned, ideas. We want to offer them ideas. So our project that we're gonna give is offer workshops to not only the children, but the parents. Because the parents are the ones that can speak to the children, are the ones that see them every day, are the ones that will look for solutions. Because as the story Julia mentioned about Elsa, was that her mom, didn't know what to do. So we want to be able to give out that information for the mom. So that's one of our ideas for the future project. It is gonna be challenging. So we want people that want to put time and effort. Also, as the Globe, we want to not only take this in Bolivia, that's what we talked about right now in our presentation, about what are the types of drugs, some of the things that you can do. Obviously, we did not go so much in depth, but we want to bring it something that is worldwide, because it is a problem that is worldwide. So we're gonna play a Kahoot game for the remaining 5 minutes. It's gonna be very short. but now that we don't have anyone, that will take about like 5 minutes to 6 minutes.
And yeah, after the Kahoot, we're gonna give away the prizes, and we're gonna ask if anyone has any questions, and that's it.
So any questions, you can email mine, which is mbgutierrez@scs.com.
And you can also email me at papacanamon@gmail.com, and we're willing to answer any questions and FaceTime or call or make a call with you or help you in any way you need. And
Also, just in case we included our Instagram profiles, because like who uses email now, sometimes you can via us by direct message on Instagram. These are our accounts.
And yeah, follow us because we want to make new friends, and we came to this conference so we can make these new friends, and we want to meet you and have a good time. So please follow us, and that's it. Thank you for your attention.
And we have one more slide saying that we are extremely thankful to be here and give out everything that we can know, that we know. And basically we're so thankful that we were able to have this opportunity to share with these amazing children. And we also, as we mentioned, we gained something. We realized how lucky we are, and also how lucky we are to travel to Peru and spread the word.
And we want to give a few words for Irene. That helped us a lot. And she wants to tell you guys that thank you for your attention, and that she wishes she could be here, and that she will help next year with the project.
Yes, and hopefully she'll be here next year.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.